I've been working on rivers a long time. I've taught a few classes here at Yale on watersheds and rivers that this seminar can draw from. But me, like probably a lot of you, like, I have a relationship with a lot of different rivers and a lot of different water bodies. Like they hold a special place, I think, for a lot of us. I view the world slightly differently. Like this is how I think of the United States, right? This is the watersheds of the United States. And I mean, you can just look at this and see, they come in a lot of different shapes and sizes. The U.S. has the Mississippi River, which is the 6th largest watershed in the U.S. Some say it would be the longest watershed river if you counted its flow up the Missouri, but for some reason they count its length up the upper Mississippi. But then there are a lot of other watersheds that some of you may recognize, like the Connecticut River watershed, right, that is central here. Like I said, the Hudson, which is important, but you have rivers like the Colorado, very important culturally and sort of economically. The Columbia River, another big one in the U.S. And I've studied a large number of the U.S. rivers and a large number of rivers globally. Like I said, they do come in a lot of shapes and sizes. I had one project where a student was trying to figure out the amount of light that was hitting different rivers. And so this is Elizabeth standing in a first order, a very small stream. We had this fisheye camera that we had. And so you wouldn't think that in this photo, the person taking it is sitting in a stream, standing in a stream. And so a very small canopy covered stream in the Connecticut River watershed, in fact, all the way up to the Amazon, right, where the Amazon is studied by oceanographers. Right? I'm actually trained as an oceanographer, and there's a subset of oceanographers who study rivers, and the Amazon has something that's called an outer plume, an outer estuary, right, because it pumps out so much fresh water that you can measure its impact on the ocean in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. They've also been central for a lot of different cultures and a lot of different art. I don't know if anyone got a chance to see it, but I study and still study the Hudson. It's a place for me, but this was an exhibit that Maya Lin had, that she called The Folding of the Hudson, which was really cool in New York, maybe 5 or 6 years ago. And so, yeah, I think there's a lot of different ways that teachers in the classroom can engage on rivers. So I'm sort of ready and able. This is a number of topics that folks could try to engage on the science of rivers. There's of course the ecology. Rivers have a unique ecology, right? They have a unique biodiversity. They're also like highly variable. There's sort of a famous old saying that goes like, you never step into the same river twice, right? Each time you come back, it's different. The flow's different. What's there is different. But we can talk about and create stuff on the ecology of rivers. It's also obviously like a freshwater resource, right? So we manage it in different ways. Mainly, main way is we create reservoirs to try to overcome the variability that makes it hard to count on them as a freshwater resource, but they are important for societies and cities and towns. I actually, after I graduated with my PhD, I did a couple of postdocs, and one of them was in the Advanced Ocean Physics and Engineering department at Woods Hole, where I got very into a very fine-scale physics of rivers and the turbulence created in rivers. So if you're a physics teacher, we could have some discussions on the physics of water. It's obviously, very important. These rivers can be quite destructive and quite erosional and create problems when their floods come, and that's all due to river power, which is related to the physics of rivers. Rivers are an inspiration, as I said, and so I think there is room for folks who are in some of the arts also. I've thought about this a little, not a ton, but I have some resources I could bring to bear on that. There's a large subset of scientists who are very interested in the geometry of rivers. These systems are actually fractal. It's how I learned about fractals. Leonardo da Vinci was very interested in the fractal nature of rivers. He figured out that the way that rivers branch is the same way that your arteries and veins branch, the same ways that leaves of a vein branch, because all those things are trying to efficiently move a liquid across an environment. And so we also use the geometry of rivers for scaling, trying to take measurements that we're making at a local scale and scale them up to a regional scale. And so there's a lot that you can do with the geometries of river. River chemistry, of course. I've done most of my work on the chemistry of rivers, in particular the carbon chemistry, but I'm very comfortable talking about the chemistry of other aspects, heavy metals, nutrients, and other things. It also offers an opportunity on how to measure nature. I've spent a lot of time in the field. I am the director of one of the core analytical facilities on campus that we can visit. And I have a lot of different stuff in the lab, from very simple to very complex, to how to measure nature. For instance, the way that you measure the amount of water coming across a river is you walk across it and measure its depth and velocity. That's something that's very simple, something that's very practical, something you can do elsewhere, but you can also measure it acoustically. And then, of course, the water cycle. Rivers are a very central component of the water cycle, but there's a way to link it to precipitation, which I think Carol did for her project in one of my courses a long time ago. But also, the climatology of a region is linked to the water cycle. And so, there are more that we could list. I didn't particularly write out the seminars that we have, because I think it could be a little bit dependent on who signs up and what the interests are. But there's a lot of different directions we can take this. And also, I'd like it to be a little bit hands-on. So, I'd like to visit a lab. We've done that as a group before. We've had a few of my students come out and show how they make measurements on some of the local rivers. But another thing we can do, and we can end with this, is I've taken classes out in the Connecticut River. I don't know if folks have done this. This is out of the Connecticut River Museum. It's a very nice way to spend the afternoon. So maybe we could do one seminar out there. So I'm happy to answer questions and look forward to spending some time with some of you.